You know what? We can start a little early. We can start. Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. I have more things. There we go. Yeah, we can start a little early as a treat. We could start a little early. Hey, everybody. Hey, Finna. How's it going? Finna write some poetry. That's what I'm talking about. Got my Libra on. So true. It's really brave of me to say it too. We should point that out. It is so true and so brave. How's everybody doing? We're gonna write some poetry for a bit, and then we are going to read more Dracula, which actually does take a bit of bravery on my part, because oof, Bram Stoker, he knows how to write the scary stuff, dude. He knows how to write the scary stuff. It always gets me a little quivering, just a little quivering. But yeah, we're gonna write some poetry and stuff. I will take suggestions from the chat. Wow, captions just had a heart attack there. By the way, I don't mention this often enough, but if you need the closed captionings, you should be getting some. They are there for you, and sometimes they mess up in very funny ways, and that's amazing. But if anyone has a topic for a poem, I haven't written poetry. Oh gosh, it's probably been 5 years, 4 or 5 years since I actually wrote a poem, and the only reason I wrote 4 or 5 years ago was there was a cute girl who started a poetry club at my college. Whatever you're thinking, nothing happened because I'm a scared little library cat, and nothing ever happens. All right. If I tried, and I probably would have kept going if it had been challenging at all. But the theme was something like a road in the middle of the night. So the point of the club was you had like 20 minutes to write, and then everyone would present and critique. So after 20 minutes, I show off what I think is the worst poem I've ever written. And everyone's like, wow, that's so insightful and deep and amazing. And I'm just standing over here like, this is literally the first and last time I'm ever going to write poetry because everyone liked it. And honestly, I'm already at the top. I'm already peaking here. Why keep going? So this is me flexing some muscles I haven't in a while. So let's see. You know what? Let's go to the internet for the first one. I'm sure I can find a random topic generator that we could use. Oh, there absolutely is. There's like 10 different ones. Thank you, Google. Topics for... Oh, those are conversation starters. Let's try something else. Okay, yeah, just give me one topic. Thank you. My favorite season and why. Okay, favorite season. You could do poetry about seasons. It's probably the thing that most poetry is written about, other than love. You got love, and then you got seasons. Okay, we got to start with the title. Of course we got to start with the title. You know, at first we really need to get the font right. We really need to get the font right, guys. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. We need some fonts. We need some fonts up in here. I still don't even have a title? Wow, Finna. Wow. I'm memeing a little bit. But seriously, no titles for stuff? How do you refer to your own things? Okay. What is my favorite season? I think I have to answer that question before I can move on here. What is my favorite season? Before I moved to where I currently live, I would have told you it is winter. But then I moved here and I figured out that I've just enjoyed very temperate winters in the past where it's been like a little bit of snow. But then I moved out here and it's been like 0 degrees. And the first 2 weeks of January, we had 3 blizzards and almost 2 feet of snow, and it was awful. And then it was 4 days of rain after that. 4 days of rain. So, like, maybe I just don't like winter where I live right now. Ooh. So I grew up in the mountains. I'm sure I can think of something. We can combine the two. Mountains and winter. Mountains and winter. Okay, okay. Hills of snow. I'm probably gonna get a better turn of phrase come to me while we're doing this. But my initial thought is we can underplay the mountain by comparing it to little hills of snow. Because if you get a really good snowfall and you're from like the parts of the world that have soft mountains, not those big things that like stretch into the sky and they're all sharp and jagged. I'm talking about your soft, rolling mountains. They're old, they're ancient, they're worn down, they're livable. They want people there. Small hills, tiny little guys. Not really, but you get the idea. We're talking about Appalachia, baby. We're talking about those mountains that are older than the Grand Canyon. They're so old that they don't have those jagged parts anymore. It's all been worn down and made into this wonderful, livable thing that wants people there. It wants people there. That's an idea I can latch onto here. They're older than me and hospitable. I feel like I'm describing an ent. But let me think. Let's do couplets. Yeah, let's do rhyming couplets, and I'll just freehand the meter because that's how I think. Let me think. Every child's welcome sight. A soft blanket for a long night. Welcoming friends. You get all the different ideas and you put them on the page and then you figure out how to put them together. I get what you mean. I've been told I think very fast. And as of yet, I've found nothing to disprove that theory. So I kind of just do all that in my head. Because I've got like this idea churning. It's kind of an image that I'm trying to display. Welcoming friends with fiery glow. Reflected off. Can you guys read this, by the way? Do I need to make this bigger? I'll just make this bigger. I'll just make this bigger for you guys. I think, yeah. The really good idea. No, I know exactly what you mean, because my method, I will lose really good ideas. Thank you. I spent a lot of time on this font. It's Walkyria. You can find it. It's free online. I spent a lot of time looking for this font back in the day. I just like I like it a lot. Also, I need to learn how to fucking spell fiery, apparently. The crystals below. Food! Let's go food! Everybody loves food. I just ate, but I would also eat if I had food. Ooh, I like what just came out of my face or out of my brain here. How do you spell icy? Ice, no E. Okay, okay, yeah. Hills of snow scattered round on this or that, a warm small town. Someone's home, someone's start, a valley full of icy heart. I feel like we're cooking here. I feel like we're cooking. I feel like we're cooking. A hunter's. How do I rhyme with path? How do I rhyme with path? I can think of this now. Across each hill, a trailer path. A hunter's skull? No. A hunter's. A hunter's. I can think of this. I can think of this. Path. Math. Uh, uh, maybe I change out a path. Trail or. Mm, trail and. Let's say trail and. Trail and what? What do you see across those hills? I'm trying to think. Maybe I scrap that one. Stitched. Yes, they're stitched together. A hunter's path through Winter Vale. Ooh, that's good. That's good. As light fails eyes, he'll wander home. Home, phone. Phone's kind of a slant rhyme. I might want to keep it true rhymes. Nothing. Not that I'm judging the slant rhymes. The slant rhymes slant, you know. But I don't like them personally. I feel like they're a little bit lazy, unless it's a slant rhyme where the spelling is off, but the rhyme is true. Um, yeah, Finna has returned. Gaze yonder eye upon the meal. Oh, I'm with slant rhymes. I started ranting about slant rhymes because I don't want to cheese boiger. Boiger. But I don't want to slant rhyme off of home, was what I'm saying. I need a rhyme for home. Tome? No. Uh, home only has slant chrome. Chrome could do something here. Ooh. Hills of Chrome. Now we change snow up here to Chrome, and the title is Hills of Chrome. Right? Right? Because it. I don't know if you've ever had the fortune to see this effect, but on a certain piece of Twilight, a mountain covered with snow will look like this silvery thing, right? When just as the light is failing, it looks a little white in the moonlight, but it's mostly this beautiful kind of silvery thing that happens. Yeah, it's rad. As light fails eyes, he'll wander home, sliding down the hills of chrome. Birds for basting in his hands. I'm thinking. It does matter. It very much matters how much of a reach a slant rhyme is. And also, if maybe there just isn't a better word. I don't hate slant rhymes. I just hate using them. It feels lazy to me personally. An offering from slumbering land. Because, like, I always. And this is probably a personal flaw, right? But I always think that I could find a better answer to something if I think on it long enough. So to me, a slant rhyme just feels like an easy way out. Because most of the time, I would say like 90% of the time, I am able to think of something better. An offering from slumbering lands. It's an offering because it wants him to be there. Lands that saw his father's... Ooh, Ooh. Saw ancestral sons. I have no idea what this meter is, by the way. I know the names. I just have no... I don't remember the definition. Someone smarter than me will have to check this later. Lands that saw ancestral sons. Everything you write is either in a specific old-ass poetic form or just completely free verse. Oh, I feel ya. I learned about meter. I was homeschooled. I once knew a lot about poetic meters and things like that. But I don't anymore. I love them, each and every one. Hills of chrome scattered round. I feel like this is the last verse here. I feel like this is how we end it. The home of any where lost are found? Is that a thing? Let me pop it down a point or two so it all fits on the same page. All right. I'm gonna read it out, and we'll gauge for mouthfeel here. Let's read it out. Every child's welcome sight, a soft blanket for a long night, welcoming friends with fiery glow reflected off the crystals below. Hills of chrome scattered round, on this or that a warm small town. Someone's home, someone's start, a valley full of icy heart. Each hill stitched together with the trail, a hunter's path through winter vale. As light fails eyes, he'll wander home, sliding down the hills of chrome. Birds for basting in his hands, an offering from slumbering lands, lands that saw ancestral suns, and loved them each and every one. Hills of chrome scattered round, the home of any where lost or found. You know, I think that works. I think that cooks. And you know what? You know what? Fuck you, Hemingway. First draft. Fuck you, Hemingway. I feel like I have a very particular audience, and I feel like that very particular audience knows about the bookshelf off of Gumtree. At least I hope so. I hope that wasn't just me cursing out Hemingway out of nowhere. Do you just happen to hate Ernest Hemingway, Finna? So here's the context. The context is that the context in my head is that Ernest Hemingway once had something about how you never get by on the first draft. You always have to rewrite it a bunch. That's the context. And more specifically, I'm referencing a small purple puppet. There was a comedian. Gosh, what's his face? I can see the face and the face of the puppeteer, but I can't think of what the puppet's name is. Was it Randy? I think it was Randy. Anyway, there's this comedy special where it's this puppet. This puppet has written a book, and he's going to read this book live for the first time. And the entire comedy show is this puppet distracting himself from talking about his book by talking about literary theory in a way that's really funny. So he tells this long, convoluted story. And at the end of this long, convoluted story, he looks at the audience and he goes, "Fuck you, Hemingway, first draft." It's amazing. And the story is the bookshelf off of Gumtree. You might have heard of that. It went super viral a few years back because it's this really condensed, super witty piece of writing. It was really excellent. But yeah, I think that's first poem in the bag. You know, that got me thinking about Chekhov's gun. Do you know Chekhov's gun? Chekhov's gun is an important literary theory. Basically, this Russian guy named Chekhov, he was a playwright in the 1900s, and he developed a rule. And the rule is that if you put a gun on the mantle, you have to use the gun. Basically, if you draw attention to something in your writing and it never pays off, it doesn't need to be there. Everything should have a payoff. That's the idea of Chekhov's gun. Oh, you found a list of poetic forms? Let's see it. But yeah, anyway, that got me thinking about Chekhov's gun because I like Chekhov's gun. It's cool. It's a really cool way to say that idea. I mean, you should be able to send it in chat. Should be able to. Chat it up. Let's see. It's way more than 50. Let's see. I'm sure I'm not doing anything abstract, acrostic, frankly, alphabet poetry, anagrammatic poetry. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing anything Ars Poetica, nor Alden Gwyd. It's a Welsh quatrain with an end and internal rhymes. That actually sounds fascinating. I'm not doing 28-line French poems because fuck the French. Barzaletta, not doing that. Blackout poems, making poems from articles. That actually sounds kind of cool. I'm not doing the Blitz. No, neither the Bob and Wheel or the Bop. I feel like I'm listing off 70s dances at this point. Let's all do the bop, oh baby. Let's all do the bop, oh baby. Let's all do the bop, oh baby. Let's all do the bop. Let's go do the bop. 60-line French form, the chant royale. No, thank you. Found poetry, the cut-up method. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing anything with Swidwa Hiran. I know I'm not saying that right, but I'm trying. Oh, there's more. Okay, cool. There's the flamenca, the Spanish quatrain. Free verse. Okay. You want my hot take of the day? You want my hot take of the day? Chat. Free verse is not poetry. You know what free verse is? You know what free verse is? It's not poetry. Free verse is not poetry. What free verse is a little something we call composition. Because watch this. I'm going to poetry it up. Free verse is the name of this poem. Free verse is the name of this poem. A poem written in free verse is not a poem at all, for it has none of the distinguishing marks that makes poems stand tall. There, I even made it fucking rhyme. There's a free verse for you. Free verse is worthless. That's only poetry because I'm memeing on free verse. That is a regular couplet that's cut up between multiple lines. Here, watch this. Not a couplet, but you get what I'm saying. Watch this. No, not that. I've just fuck you. Unfree versus your poem. Okay, I sure did that. Can free verse be poetry? Yes. But most free verse poetry you see does not count. because it is such a hard form to use. It is such a hard form to use that most people who attempt to do free verse, all they end up with is garbage composition. Not speaking of anyone in particular, except most modern poets. Let's see. Tall. Although I think I did something with like the shape here, maybe. Did I accidentally do a thing while I was memeing? No, I don't think so. I think this is garbage. Literary work in which special intensity is given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm, poems collectively or as a genre of literature. See, the only thing you can say that free verse qualifies for there is the special intensity of expressions of feelings or ideas, because it doesn't use distinctive style and rhythm. Now, if you wanted, it can, but it doesn't have to. So, like, that's like saying, I can be bald. No, because isn't the point of free verse to not use a style at all? It's just to make up shit. It's to not have to deal with a specific form. So wait, let's do this then. Hills of Chrome. I did not have any specific form in mind. Does that make Hills of Chrome free verse? I did? Well, I mean, other than the couplets. Like, it's not like I was adhering to the... I mean, everything is in a couplet, but it's not like I was adhering to it very hard. So yeah, I guess by default, that can't be free verse. So, is the poem I have written free verse? Is this free verse? Yeah, I adhere to things pretty hard. I'm a pretty hardcore adherent. Pretty hard. Nah. and partially, I say partially, a large part of this, to be honest, is simply because I am of a contrarian nature. I am a contrarian soul. Let's see. Ooh. Katawata poems. Haiku for lovers. That sounds interesting. Haiku can be fun. How in the world are you reading my mind? Did I already say, was I thinking out loud? I didn't think I said haiku yet. How did you read my mind? Am I doing the thing where I think I'm thinking, but where I think I'm thinking, but actually I'm saying the things I'm thinking? Complete coincidence? No. Finna witch. Finna mentalist. Finna psychic. Finna hunt Red John. All right? No one's gonna get that reference in the year of our Lord 2024. All right? Anyway, let's learn about Katawata forms. The Katawata, the Katauta, whatever, is a Japanese poetic form that is actually considered an incomplete or half poem. It's a 3-liner that follows either 5-7-5 or more commonly 5-7-7 syllables per line. Specifically, when addressed to a lover, when paired together, multiple katautas act as a question and answer conversation between lovers to form Sudoku. If the concept of Sudoku sounds familiar, it's because it's similar to the concept of Sudoku, where you put all the little numbers in the little boxes. No, I'm making that up. Is Sudoku Japanese, now that I think about it? But we could... See, I don't have a lover. That's the problem. I would like to try the style, but I don't have a lover. I would have to invent an imaginary lover, which of course sounds like such a healthy thing to do. I kind of want to try it, though. I kind of want to try it. How could I try it without inventing a theoretical lover? I'm not gonna write one about my teenage girlfriend, because that's... Yeah. I could fudge it a tiny bit. Finna, that sounds like you're trying to tempt me to do free verse, which, as we've already discussed, is something I'm not going to do. Finna temptation, finna eat an apple. Okay, that's what's going on here. I see through your deceptions. Chant Royale. I'll take a look at the Chant Royale. A fair warning, though, it is French, so I may just be cursing the entire time. 60-line French form. 5 11-line stanzas followed by a 5-line envoy with the rhyme scheme A B A B C C D D E D E, and the envoy has the rhyme scheme of D D E D E. The final line of every stanza is a refrain, and the lines can be consistent length, but it's most common if they're 8 or 10 syllables. That is so many rules. The French know how to take the fun out of everything. I swear. The French know how to suck fun out of everything within a 5-mile radius. The French hate fun. That is such a specific... Okay, let me think about this for a second. Let me think about this. So, I'll set it up real quick. So it has to be A, B, caps lock time. A, B, C, C, D, D, E, D, E, followed by D, D, E, D, E. The more restrictive forms is more of a challenge. I get you. And like, I'm of very much the line of thought that says if you want a creative to do well, give them rules. But this is an insane amount of rules, because that is our envoy, right? Or that's the stanza. It's an 11-line stanza, followed by the 5-line envoy. Everything has to have 8 or 10 syllables. Because it's not a blank page, right? Because there's stuff happening on the page and it's not blank. I kind of get that. 8 to 10 syllables. Wow, that's rough. And then I have to do this how many times? 5 more times. Or 4 more times. Yeah, any length, but 8 to 10 is the most common. And I'm going to assume 8 to 10 is the most common for a reason, because it means you write less. Because 8 to 10 syllables is not a lot of syllables. That's maybe 3 words a line. Which makes this work a little better. The D rhyme is used 18 times in the poem. So the rhyming words cannot be orange. Oh, that's a big chat. I gotta scroll over. That's why you've been so fascinated by haiku. It's so restrictive that you really gotta work. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Well, I mean, it's restrictive in English. I don't think it's that restrictive in Japanese. Because they have both shorter and longer words. They use their syllables in different ways, right? So it makes more sense for the culture it was invented in. Okay. Okay. I have to take a very quick break because I need more water. I will be right back. Stare at the screen until the A B A B C C D D E D E D D E D E makes any sense at all. And if it does start to make sense, spam the chat. All right, I'm back. I am back. A B A B C C D D E D E D D E D E. That is a lot. Let's take a stab at random words that make coherent little phrases, and let's see how we can do here. Many seek it. That's 4. Few do find. That's 8. Loved by all mankind. A treasure loved by all mankind. 8 again. Or, no, can't be kind because this has to be the B rhyme. By all worthwhile. Yeah, if you don't love this treasure, you are a worthless person. Yeah, absolutely. We need to start telling more people they're worthless people. All right, we need to start bullying again. In love, bullying again. Because some people need that. It is alone. It is alone. I've got half an idea here. unique in its kind. It is alone, unique in its kind. That one's 9. We roll. We ball. While, pile, mile, style, Kyle. And few who find it are named Kyle. Boom. Wait, what are we clipping now? What are we clipping now? We need to start telling more people they're worthless people. No! Not that!
Again, in love, bullying again. Because some people need that.
Oh, man. See, this is why it's dangerous for me to be a streamer. Because I will just keep talking. Let's see. Let me remind myself of the rules here. What's the rule set? Okay. The final line of every stanza is a refrain. Okay, so the E line has to be a refrain. Words. Look at me. You guys can't see it, but I'm looking deep into the camera right now. Words. I'm coming for you. That's an official warning. Anyway, what's my third rhyme? Find, Eind, Isle, rest, est. Est could be a good, it is to say it clear, the treasure is rest. 9 again. The unburdening of a chest. Get it off your chest. The unburdening of many a chest. The unburdening of many a chest. That's 10, but we'll take it. Maybe the French were onto something. Are we about to find a reason to compliment the French? I don't think so, but we're trying. I tried so hard and got so far. Everybody, in the end, it doesn't even matter. You guys are probably hearing the mic squeak and stuff. D, D, E, D, E, and the E has to be a refrain. The E has to be a refrain. We're talking about rest at this point. I want the refrain before I go much further. It helps. Because I'm treating the ABAB like a set, and then I'm treating the CCDD as a set. EDE is kind of its own thing, it feels like. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. 8 again. I like that refrain. I like that refrain. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. I think we found some magic there. An ease to momentary pain. An ease to momentary pain. 8 again. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes. That feels a little long. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes. No, that's 8. Some who hunt it. That's 8 somehow. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes in the ditches for many moons. Bit of a slant rhyme, but not really. In the ditches for many moons. 8 again. Okay, I'm starting to see why 8 to 10 is the most common. This is a fun verse to work with. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes in the ditches for many moons, an ease to momentary pain. Their whole life does it consume. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. Okay, let me read that first one out. Many seek it, but few do find a treasure loved by all worthwhile. It is alone, unique in its kind, and few who find it are named Kyle. To say it clear, the treasure is rest, the unburdening of many a chest. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes in the ditches for many moons, an ease to momentary pain. Their whole life does it consume. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. I know I've heard this before. Now that I say that out loud, that rhythm, I've heard that before. I just don't know where. I think we got to give the French props on this one. Frenchies? You did okay. You like the idea of Kyle being a recurring annoyance? Let me recheck the rules. So the envoy doesn't get the refrain. Also, I need to know what an envoy is. What is an envoy? If anyone thought I had thought this out, please be disabused. Let's look it up. Envoy in poetry. The brief stanza that ends French poetic forms such as the ballad or sestina. It usually serves as a summation or a dedication to a particular person. A dedication to a particular person, you say? Chat, you know what we gotta do. Chat, we know what we gotta do! Every single stanza, we bring up Kyle. Every single one. As Kyle hunted to his tune. As Kyle hunted to his tune. 8. Digging as if with a rusty spoon. We're memeing hard at this point. Digging as if with a rusty spoon. 9. He heard the old echoed refrain. Too many had heard in a... We're going to have to reuse some words a couple times, but that's okay, because this is supposed to be like a thematic repeating thing. Too many had heard under the moon. I'm gonna add the refrain to these too because it works. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. As Kyle hunted to this tune, digging as this with a rusty spoon, he heard the old echoed refrain. Too many had heard under the moon, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. How is this working? We're memeing so hard. This should not have any semblance of working happening here. All right, I gotta label the next part. A B. Yeah, it's A B C C D D E D. Right? A B C C D D E D E. D D E D E. D D E D E. No. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. So Kyle is gonna be brought up again at the end of the poem. For sure. Okay, I gotcha. So yeah, so it's gonna be 511 line stanzas that end with burning Kyle again. I've never even known anyone named Kyle. We call this the Ballad of Kyle around here. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. Yeah, that's the wicked of that's the Ballad of Kyle. This is such a stupid. Oh man. Okay. So I already know what the last line is. It's the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. Let's see. The A is eind. No. So many hunt for Aramanine. Peace of mind. Isle. Cross hill and dale and desolate isle. Cross hill and dale and desolate isle. That's 10. It works. Just not to grasp within their mind. I know that's a mind rhyme, but we'll roll with it because we're memeing anyway. It cannot lay upon the reviled. 10 again. We ball. And then we're back to the ests. For Kyle's part at his bequest. For Kyle's part at his bequest. 8 again. a sort of song about his test. And then we're back to the Oons. He searched for it among the loons. He searched for it among the loons. 9. With many sandy dunes. Vein, pain, wane, lane. And when his body finally lane, or with his body, loons, moons, coons, not coons, dunes, tunes, wounds, and with his body finally laid, covered in those desperate wounds, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. I gotta read out the second one, just make sure it works. So many hunt for peace of mind, crossed hill and vale and desolate isle, just not to grasp within their mind, it cannot lay upon the reviled. For Kyle's part, at his bequest, a sort of song about his test, he searched for it among the loons and with the many sandy dunes, and with his body finely lain, covered in those desperate wounds, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. I love how out of place the refrain feels, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. It feels like it should be in a much more desperate poem than this. This was a great idea. I should do this every Sunday. A, B, C, C, D, D, E, D. All right. Bars. Thank you, good sir. Next, they shall cast me in Hamilton, the musical production. No, if anyone's going to cast me in a musical, it's got to be one where I get to belt. All right, all right. Your boy's a belter. You got a visceral reaction from that? No. What part of it was visceral? Was it this voice? That sounds just so pretentious and odd. A visceral reaction. In Hamilton. Oh gosh. Oh. I at least amuse myself at all times. Ooh. Based and red pilled. Thank you very much. Spread. That's how you spell desperate? Or I guess not. Mind lined. ED is actually Ed. Brooked? Blessed? No, it doesn't work. Memeing is the best way to make poetry. It's weirdly liberating. Go for it and not worry about the fact that what you're doing is inherently ridiculous. What are you talking about? Kyle needs to be brought down a couple pegs. I thought we were in agreement here, Finna. We're bringing Kyle down. We're bringing back bullying. We talked about this. Send this to all the Kyles. Mind is fucking with me. Eind is a hard word. You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna Google a thesaurus. Goth, what was that? What in the world? All right, book made possible because of poetry nerds. Am I being a dumbass? Mind has thesauruses. Thesauruses have rhyming schemes, don't they? Am I dumb? Resource for rhyming words. Book. Do thesaurus? Oh my gosh, what in the world is my problem with that word? Do thesauruses not carry rhyming schemes? Has my whole life been a lie? Bind? Oh, his own desperate bind. That's very good. What? There's a book that carries rhyming schemes, right? Right? I'm not crazy. Tell me I'm not crazy. Finna, please. Finna, please. You know, just for fun, I'm gonna use the rhymes I see in order. Amused at his own desperate bind. Lonely. I can spell lonely. Just good at guessing. To all else was he blind. That's only 6 in the world. That makes him 9. Blind. Along that oft walked mile. That's 7. Make it 9 again. Along that oft walked deadly mile. And then we're back to the ests. He had finally found his rest, though not the kind he wanted best. He found... Oh. He wanted rest like it was rain to fall upon him once again. Oh, did I forget an E at the end of this? I forgot an E at the end of this, didn't I? Yep. Oh, so that can't be the Ains. Yeah, because I got out of order there. The D's are oons. All right. To have rest in life was the desired boon. To have rest in life was the desired. Oh, that's 11. We'll cut it down to 9. was the desired boon? I feel like we're getting close. Not a ripple across that lagoon. 9. What did I say for vein that first time? There's a good rhyme I had there. It was oh, darn it. Copy. Control Z a bunch. He wanted rest like it was rain. Do I have something there? Maybe. Paste it back in. Rest. The rain that falls under the moon, the wicked hunt and hunted vain. We've gotten through 1, 2, 3, 2 more. 2 more slam poetry verses about Kyle. What a ridiculous idea. Oh man, I'm gonna have to post this somewhere, aren't I? And just like tag all the Kyles. 100%. Tag every Kyle! A, B, C, C, D, D, E, D, E. All of them! Because when everybody's Kyle, no one will be. Sorry, I was just disappointed in myself after that last joke. Who memes off The Incredibles in the year of our Lord 2024? Except for Pixar with their errant sequels. Okay. I do not taste good. I assure you. I'm finna salty. I'm not good for eating. I'm not. It's a bad idea, in fact. Got a lot of those fatty acids, I think. I don't know. Ooh, signed. He was resigned. Never to walk this earth. I'm not good for eating. Only the normal sentences on twitch.com/TV/Teller the VTuber. Never to walk, he was exiled. Only the most normal sentences. I like the chicharoni like they do back home. Or great big fish with a big cat bone. I'm Abraham DeLacy. Gia sub to Casey. Thomas O'Malley. O'Malley the alley cat. I got that wanderlust. Feel the grass that's green. I don't know the rest of the song. I need to learn to stop launching into stuff I don't know how to end. The theater kid. The theater kid energy is crazy. You want to know what's the real crime here? Never done theater. Not a day in my life have I done theater. Do with that information what you will. Shocked and appalled, I say. Or as they say in the West, boy, what the hell? Oh, come on now, boy, what the hell were you thinking? Close enough. You got the spirit, Finna. You got the spirit. If anything, anyone who would say the phrase, what the hell, boy, is not going to say it about a young man deciding not to waste his life in the theater. If anything, they would be proud of such a decision. Let me think. I'll... To this fate he was resigned, never to walk he was exiled. His treasure had he maligned, exiled. The value he had, that he had filed, and we make it a sentence that got cut off. What are we doing? We're writing poetry. We're writing poetry. To this fate he was resigned, never to walk he was exiled. His treasure had he maligned, the value that he had filed, down to naught but whatever the C rhyme is, rest. Oh, it rhymes with rest. I need one more tab here. But the pressed, the value that he had filed down to naught but the pressed effects of his tired effects of, I need one more, of his prolong. That's how you spell prolonged. Don't you even? What do you mean it doesn't have a U? Down to not but the pressed. The glory that he had undressed. The glory that he had undressed. Okay, that's 9. And then the D's are the oons again. We go back to the oons. Is not the lack of work, please. Labor. Job. Okay. For rest is not the lack of, I need an oon word that means work. For rest is not a honeymoon. Enjoyed forever Thank you. Thank you. Honeymoon was a good pull. To be enjoyed forever immune to suffering and doubt and pain. Rest is, I need one more own. Rest is passing like the moon. The moon is getting a lot of references here. Moon. And then what do, folks? What do? The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. To this fate he was resigned, never to walk he was exiled. His treasure had he maligned, the value that he had filed down to naught but the pressed, the glory that he had undressed. For rest is not a honeymoon to be enjoyed forever immune to suffering and doubt and pain. Rest is passing like the moon, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. We got one more, folks. A, B, C, C, D, D, E, D, E. As Kyle melted to his tune, because at this point, Kyle is dying. If you haven't been keeping up with the poem, Kyle's dying. It's where he belongs. So Kyle, with the saints aligned, came to the honor Ed. He had fled. His eyes beheld with his eyes beheld and were inclined towards his heavenly end, towards his heavenly end. That's only 7. Own. Towards his own heavenly end. And then we get into the C's, and the C's are our eds. Yeah. Resigned, exiled, ed. I like how we can use all the different EDs in all the different sounds in this one portion, and it all sounds different. To this fate he was resigned, never to walk he was exiled. His treasure had he maligned, the value that he had filed. Down to naught but the press, the glory that he had undressed. We're doing a little bit of slant rhyming here, but I think it works. His own mind and thought were both blessed. To come to this realizing I'm thinking. I'm looking through this list. Can West, blood test, Bank West, coffee juice, Giants cream, birthday cake, large fries, chocolate shake. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. The yappery on display here is astounding. Buddy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you now, you ain't seen nothing yet. To come to this realized address, it's a little clumsy, but I want to be over with this. Can only be that rest can only be attuned by those who bring rest. I need more tune words. To those who rest not impugned. Not impugned. By those who have not impugned. By those who have not impugned. 7, but we'll make it work. The rest of those. What's my ease? V. The rest of those who lie. Fane, pain, lane, cane, wane, fane. We're not impugning on the rest of those in their own domain. The rest of those in their own domain. That's 9 that works. One more oon, and we're out of here. This gift gifted only to those who subsume, maybe subsume might work. That doesn't sound right. Come on, we need one more oon. Chat, do you got anything? Got nothing. Okay, we can do this. Exo moon. No, doesn't help. Balloon. No, doesn't help. Silver spoon. Tablespoon. Quickaroon. Pickadoon. These are words, apparently. Gifted only to those who commune. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain, because that it begs the question of the reader, who's communing with what? We know it's not the wicked, because the wicked hunt and hunt in vain, so rest is only gifted to those who commune with the righteous. Booyah! We gotta read the whole thing. Get your clipping fingers ready. It's time for some poetry, boys. All right. Get your clipping fingers ready. Here we go. The wicked. Many seek it, but few do find, a treasure loved by all worthwhile. It is alone, unique in its kind, and few who find it are named Kyle. To say it clear, the treasure is rest, the unburdening of many a chest. Some who hunt it spend their fortunes in the ditches for many moons, and ease to momentary pain, their whole life does it consume. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. So many hunt for peace of mind, crossed hill and vale and desolate isle, just not to grasp within their mind it cannot lay upon the revile. For Kyle's part at his bequest a sort of song about his test. He searched for it among the loons and across the many sandy dunes, and with his body finely lain, covered in those desperate wounds, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. Amused at his own desperate bind, destined to walk that lonely isle, to all else in the world was he blind, along that oft-walked deadly mile. He had finally found his rest, though not the kind he wanted best. Rest in life was the desired boon, not a ripple across that lagoon. He wanted rest like it was rain, the rain that falls under the moon. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. To this fate he was resigned, never to walk he was exiled. His treasure had he maligned, the value that he had filed down to naught but the pressed, the glory that he had undressed. For rest is not a honeymoon, to be enjoyed forever immune to suffering and doubt and pain. Rest is passing like the moon, the wicked hunt and hunt in vain. So Kyle, with the saints aligned, came to the honor he had fled. His eyes beheld and were inclined towards his own heavenly end. Mind and thought were both blessed to come to this realized address, that rest can only be attuned by those who have not impugned the rest of those in their own domain, gifted only to those who commune. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. As Kyle melted to his dune, digging as if with a rusty spoon, he heard the old echoed refrain too many had heard under the moon. The wicked hunt and hunt in vain. Hey! Let's go! Let's go! We're talking poems and prayers and promises. Things that we believe in. How sweet it is to love someone. How right it is to care. How long it's been since yesterday? And what about tomorrow? What about those dreams and all the memories we share? See, that was garbage, but I read it convincingly. That was the thing. That was garbage. That was hot garbaggio, but I read it with conviction, and now you think it means something. That's poetry. Can we get some snapping up in here? Can we get some snaps? Oh. This is fun. This is fun. We should like try new literary stuff every week. Like this week it's poetry, and next week it's what else is there than poetry? Short stories? Short stories, I guess? I don't know. Or like we just try different kinds of poems. I will say my favorite today has got to be free verse. My favorite has got to be free verse. I love that I wrote this thing and it's just memeing on free verse. Free verse, yeah. It's like Freebird, only it's more pretentious. Okay, all right. I think that is enough poetrizing. Gotta fix that. There you go. Your bigger frame. Because it is now time for me to close 15 different tabs that I opened over the course of this stream and read to you more of Dracula. And where did I leave us off? It's been a couple of weeks. Left us off at Chapter 8. So today we'll be reading Chapter 9. Now let's see. Oh, yes, the big revelation of Chapter 8 is that our boy Jonathan Harker is alive. Jonathan Harker, who we joined at the top of the story, who was being used by Dracula to learn about the English and to learn the accent so that Dracula could reasonably pass as an Englishman in Britain, who then we assumed was dead after Chapter 4. 4 chapters later, we find out our boy is alive and he's coming back to England. And you know who else is in England? Dracula. You know how we know Dracula's in England? Because there's a crazy cannibal man who can sense his master coming. And that's where we pick up in chapter 9. That's where we pick up in chapter 9. We got cannibals. We got Dracula. We got our boy hero. Finna please. Finna please. But that's where we pick up in chapter 9. For those of you who are not familiar with Dracula, Dracula is told in a writing style that is a collection, a hodgepodge of letters and newspaper clippings and journal entries by which we get the most contemporaneous account of all of these events. It is the most accurate retelling that we could possibly have of that time the Count Dracula tried to take over the Isle of England. So, after finding out that her fiancé, Mr. Jonathan Harker, was alive, our own waifu, Mina Harker, has traveled to Budapest in order to pick up her fiancé, who has been, we learned last time, kind of recovering in a sanatorium there. They thought he was crazy, and he might think he's crazy too. But we're going to get to that here in chapter 9. We start off with a letter from Mina Harker to her friend Lucy Westerna. Oh, I should mention, Lucy been spending a lot of time around bats lately. Also, she's been looking real pale. It says this: from Budapest, the 24th of August. My dearest Lucy, I know you'll be anxious to hear all that has happened since we parted at the railway station at Whitby. Well, my dear, I got to Hull all right and caught the boat to Hamburg and then the train on here. I feel that I can hardly recall anything of the journey except that I knew that I was coming to Jonathan and that as I should have to do some nursing, I had better get all the sleep I could. I found my dear one oh so thin and pale and weak looking. All the resolution has gone out of his dear eyes, and that quiet dignity which I told you was in his face has vanished. He is only a wreck of himself, and he does not remember anything that has happened to him for a long time past. At least, he wants me to believe so, and I shall never ask. He has had some terrible shock, and I fear it might tax his poor brain if he were tried to recall it. Sister Agatha, who is a good creature and a born nurse, tells me that he raved of dreadful things while he was off his head. I wanted her to tell me what they were, but she would only cross herself and say that she would never tell, that the ravings of the sick were the secrets of God, and that if a nurse through her vocation should hear them, she should respect her trust. She is a sweet, good soul. And the next day, when she saw I was troubled, she opened up the subject again, and after saying that she could never mention what my poor dear raved about, added, I can tell you this much, my dear, that it was not about anything which he has done wrong himself, and you, as his wife-to-be, have no cause to be concerned. He has not forgotten you, or what he owes to you. His fear was of great and terrible things, which no mortal can treat of. I do believe the dear soul thought I might be jealous, lest my poor dear should have fallen in love with any other girl. The idea of my being jealous about Jonathan. And yet, my dear, let me whisper, I felt a thrill of joy through me when I knew that no other woman was a cause of trouble. I am now sitting by his bedside, where I can see his face while he sleeps. He is waking. When he woke, he asked me for his coat, and he wanted to get something from the pocket. I asked Sister Agatha, and she brought me all his things. I saw that amongst them was his notebook, and was going to ask him to let me look at it, for I knew then that I might find some clue to his trouble. But I suppose he must have seen my wish in my eyes, for he sent me over to the window, saying he wanted to be quite alone for a moment. Then he called me back, and when I came, he had his hand over the notebook, and he said to me very solemnly, Wilhelmina. I knew that when he said that he was in deadly earnest, for he has never called me by that name since he asked me to marry him. You know, dear, my ideas of the trust between husband and wife. There should be no secret, no concealment. I have had a great shock, and when I try to think of what it is, I feel my head spin round, and I do not know if it was all real or the dreaming of a madman. You know I have had brain fever, and that it is to be mad. The secret is here, and I do not want to know it. I want to take up my life here with our marriage. For, my dear, we had decided to be married as soon as the formalities are complete. Are you willing, Wilhelmina, to share my ignorance? Here's the book. Take it and keep it. Read it if you will, but never let me know. Unless indeed some solemn duty should come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, sane or mad, recorded here. He fell back exhausted, and I put the book under his pillow and kissed him. I have asked Sister Agatha to beg the Superior to let our wedding be this afternoon, and I'm waiting her reply. She has come and told me that the chaplain of the English Mission Church has been sent for. We are to be married in an hour, or as soon after as Jonathan awakes. Lucy, the time has come and gone. I feel very solemn, but very, very happy. Jonathan woke a little after the hour, and all was ready, and he sat up in bed, propped up with pillows. He answered his "I will" firmly and strongly. I could hardly speak. My heart was so full that even those words seemed to choke me. The dear sisters were so kind. Please God, I shall never, never forget them, nor the grave and sweet responsibilities I have taken upon me. I must tell you of my wedding present. When the chaplain and the sisters had left me alone with my husband, oh, Lucy, it is the first time I have written the words "my husband." Left me alone with my husband, I took the book from under his pillow and wrapped it up in white paper and tied it with a little bit of pale blue ribbon which was around my neck and sealed it over the knot with sealing wax, and for my seal, I used my wedding ring. Then I kissed it and showed it to my husband and told him that I would keep it so, and then it would be an outward and visible sign for us all, our lives, that we trusted each other. That I would never open it unless it was for his own dear sake or for the sake of some stern duty. Then he took my hand in his, and oh, Lucy, it was the first time he took his wife's hand, and said that it was the dearest thing in all the wide world, and that he would go through all the past again to win it if need be. The poor dear meant to have said a part of the past, but he cannot think of time yet, and I shall not wonder if at first he mixes up not only the month but the year. Well, my dear, what could I say? I could only tell him that I was the happiest woman in all the wide world, and that I had nothing to give him except myself, my life, and my trust, and that with these went my love and duty for all the days of my life. And my dear, when he kissed me, and drew me to him with his poor weak hands, it was like a very solemn pledge between us. Lucy, dear, do you know why I tell you all this? It is not only because it is all sweet to me, but because you have been and are very dear to me. It was my privilege to be your friend and guide when you came from the schoolroom to prepare for the world of life. I want to see you now, and with the eyes of a very happy wife, whither duty has led me, so that in your own married life you too may be happy as I am. My dear, please Almighty God, your life may be all it promises, a long day of sunshine, with no harsh wind, no forgetting duty, no distrust. I must not wish you no pain, for that can never be. But I do hope you will always be as happy as I am now. Goodbye, my dear. I shall post this at once, and perhaps write you very soon again. I must stop, for Jonathan is waking. I must attend to my husband. Yours, ever loving, Mina Harker. And that's the end of that letter. Speedrunning marriage, yes. She's very... Well, I mean, they've been engaged some year at this point. So, it's not really speedrunning. Longest letter of all time? You haven't even seen nothing yet. All right. Next up, we have a letter from Lucy Westerna to Mina Harker, Whitby, the 30th of August. My dearest Mina, oceans of love and millions of kisses, and may you soon be in your own home with your husband. I wish you could be coming home soon enough to stay with us here. The strong air would soon restore Jonathan. It has quite restored me. I have an appetite like a cormorant, am full of life and sleep well. You will be glad to know that I have quite given up walking in my sleep. I think I have not stirred out of my bed for a week. That is when I once got into it at night. Arthur says I'm getting fat. By the way, I forgot to tell you, Arthur is here. We have such walks and drives and rides and rowing and tennis and fishing together, and I love him more than ever. He tells me that he loves me more, but I doubt that, for at first he told me that he couldn't love me more than he did then. But this is nonsense. There he is calling to me. So no more just at present from your loving Lucy. Oh, postscript. Mother sends her love. She seems better, poor dear. Postscript. We're to be married on the 28th of December, or September. Okay, now see, Lucy is speedrunning marriage here. We know when she got engaged, because she got engaged back in chapter 5. Which, if you haven't seen that chapter, it's great. She gets engaged. She gets proposed to by 3 guys on the same day. Speaking of those 3 proposals, we now turn to her first suitor, Dr. Seward, the doctor at the local sanatorium. Dr. Seward's diary, the 20th of August. The case of Renfield grows ever more interesting. He is now so far quieted that there are spells of cessation from his passion. For the first week after his attack, he was perpetually violent. Then one night, just as the moon rose, he grew quiet and kept murmuring to himself, "Now I can wait. Now I can wait." The attendant came to tell me, so I ran down at once to have a look at him. He was still in the straight waistcoat and in the padded room, but the suffused look had gone from his face, and his eyes had something of their old pleading. I might almost say cringing softness. I was satisfied with his present condition and directed him to be relieved. The attendants hesitated, but finally carried out my wishes without protest. It was a strange thing that the patient had humor enough to see their distress, for coming close to me, he said in a whisper, all the while furtively looking at them, "They think I could hurt you. Fancy me hurting you! The fools!" It was soothing, somehow, to the feelings to find myself dissociated even in the mind of this poor madman from the others. But all the same, I do not follow his thought. Am I to take it that I have anything in common with him, so that we are, as it were, to stand together? Or has he to gain from me some good so stupendous that my well-being is needful to him? I must find out later on. Tonight he will not speak. Even the offer of a kitten or a full-grown cat will not tempt him. He will only say, "I don't take stock in any cats. I have more to think of now, and I can wait. I can wait." After a while, I left him. The attendant tells me that he was quiet until just before dawn, and then he began to get uneasy and at length violent, until at last he fell into a paroxysm, which exhausted him so that he swooned into a sort of coma. 3 nights has the same thing happened. Violent all day, then quiet from moonrise to sunrise. I wish I could get some clue to the cause. It would almost seem as if there was some influence which came and went. Happy thought! We shall tonight play sane wits against mad ones. He escaped before without our help. Tonight he shall escape with it. We shall give him a chance and have the men ready to follow in case they are required. We jump to the 23rd of August. The unexpected always happens. How well Disraeli knew life. Our bird, when he found the cage open, would not fly, so all of our subtle arrangements were for naught. At any rate, we have proved one thing, that the spells of quietness last a reasonable time. We shall in future be able to ease his bonds for a few hours each day. I have given orders to the night attendant merely to shut him in the padded room when once he is quiet until an hour before sunrise. The poor soul's body will enjoy the relief even if his mind cannot appreciate it. Hark! The unexpected again! I am called. The patient has once more escaped. Later that same night. Another night adventure. Renfield artfully waited until the attendant was entering the room to inspect. Then he dashed out past him and flew down the passage. I sent word for the attendants to follow. Again he went into the grounds of the deserted house, and we found him in the same place, pressed against the old chapel door. When he saw me, he became furious, and had not the attendant seized him in time, he would have tried to kill me. As we were holding him, a strange thing happened. He suddenly redoubled his efforts, and then just as suddenly grew calm. I looked around instinctively, but could see nothing. Then I saw the patient's eye and followed it, but could trace nothing as it looked into the moonlit sky, except a big bat, which was flapping its silent and ghostly way to the west. Bats usually wheel and flit about, but this one seemed to go straight on as if it knew where it was bound for, or had some intention of his own. The patient grew calmer every instant, and presently said, "You needn't tie me. I shall go quietly." Without trouble, he came back to the house. I feel there is something ominous in his calm, and shall not forget this night. And that's the end of that piece of Seward's diary. We're getting very interesting here, aren't we? We turn now to Lucy Westerna's diary in Hillingham on the 24th of August. I must imitate Mina and keep writing things down. Then we can have long talks when we do meet. I wonder when it will be. I wish she was here with me again, for I feel so unhappy. Last night I seemed to be dreaming again, just as I was at Whitby. Perhaps it is a change of the air, or getting home again. It is all dark and horrid to me, for I can remember nothing. But I am full of vague fear, and I feel so weak and worn out. When Arthur came to lunch, he looked quite grieved when he saw me, and I hadn't the spirit to try to be cheerful. I wonder if I could sleep in Mother's room tonight. I shall make an excuse and try. The 25th of August. Another bad night. Mother did not seem to take to my proposal. She seems not too well herself, and doubtless she fears to worry me. I tried to keep awake and succeeded for a while, but when the clock struck 12, it waked me from a doze, so I must have been falling asleep. There was a sort of scratching or flapping at the window, but I did not mind it, and I remember no more. I suppose I must have then fallen asleep. More bad dreams. I wish I could remember them. This morning I am horribly weak. My face is ghastly pale, and my throat pains me. It must be something wrong with my lungs, for I don't seem ever to get air enough. I shall try to cheer up when Arthur comes, or else I know he will be miserable to see me so. And that's the end of her diary. We turn now to a letter from Arthur Holmwood, the fiancé of Lucy Westerna, to Dr. Seward. My dear Jack, I want you to do me a favor. Lucy is ill, and she has no special disease, but she looks awful and is getting worse every day. I've asked her if there's any cause. I do not dare to ask her mother, for to disturb the poor lady's mind about her daughter in her present state of health would be fatal. Mrs. Westerna has confided to me that her doom is spoken, disease of the heart. Though poor Lucy does not know it yet, I'm sure there is something preying on my dear girl's mind. I am almost distracted when I think of her. To look at her gives me a pang. I told her I should ask you to see her, and though she demurred at first, I know why, old fellow. She finally consented. It'll be a painful task for you, I know, old friend, but it is for her sake, and I must not hesitate to ask, or you to act. You are to come to lunch at Hillingham tomorrow, 2 o'clock, so as not to arouse any suspicion in Mrs. Westerna. And after lunch, Lucy will take an opportunity of being alone with you. I shall come in for tea, and we can go away together. I'm filled with anxiety and want to consult with you alone as soon as I can after you've seen her. Do not fail. Telegram, Arthur Holmwood to Seward, the 1st of September. Am summoned to see my father, who is worse. Am writing. Write me fully by tonight's post to ring. Wire me if necessary. So Arthur could not actually be there for this examination. A letter from Dr. Seward to Arthur Holmwood, the 2nd of September. My dear old fellow, with regard to Miss Westerna's health, I hasten to let you know that at once that in my opinion there is not any functional disturbance or any malady that I know of. At the same time, I am not by any means satisfied with her appearance. She is woefully different from what she was when I saw her last. Of course, you must bear in mind that I do not have full opportunity of examination such as I should wish. Our very friendship makes a little difficulty, which not even medical science or custom can bridge over. I had better tell you exactly what happened, leaving you to draw, in a measure, your own conclusions. I shall then say what I have done and propose doing. I found Miss Westerna in seemingly gay spirits. Her mother was present, and in a few seconds I made up my mind that she was trying all she knew to mislead her mother and prevent her from being anxious. I have no doubt she guesses, if she does not know, what need of caution there is. We lunched alone, and as we all exerted ourselves to be cheerful, we got, as some kind of reward from our labors, some real cheerfulness among us. Then Miss Westerna went to lie down, and Lucy was left with me. Excuse me. We went into her boudoir. Until we got there, her gaiety remained, for the servants were coming and going. As soon as the door was closed, however, the mask fell from her face, and she sank down into a chair with a great sigh, and hid her eyes with her hand. When I saw that her high spirits had failed, I at once took advantage of her reaction to make a diagnosis. She said to me very sweetly, I cannot tell you how I loathe talking about myself. I reminded her that a doctor's confidence was sacred, but that you were grievously anxious about her. She caught on to my meaning at once and settled that matter in a word. Tell Arthur everything you choose. I do not care for myself, but all for him. So I am quite free. I could easily see that she is somewhat bloodless, but I could not see the usual anemic signs, and by a chance I was able to actually test the quality of her blood, for in opening a window, which was stiff, a cord gave way, and she cut her hand slightly with broken glass. It was a slight matter in itself, but it gave me evident chance, and I secured a few drops of the blood and have analyzed them. The qualitative analysis gives quite a normal condition and shows, I should infer, in itself a vigorous state of health. In other physical matters, I was quite satisfied that there is no need for anxiety, but as there must be a cause somewhere, I have come to the conclusion that it must be something mental. She complains of difficulty in breathing satisfactorily at night, and of heavy, lethargic sleep, with dreams that frighten her, but regarding which she can remember nothing. She says that as a child she used to walk in her sleep, and that when in Whitby the habit came back, and that once she walked out into night into East Cliff where Miss Murray found her, but she assures me that of late the habit has not returned. I am in doubt, and so have done the best thing I know of. I have written to my old friend and master, Professor Van Helsing of Amsterdam, who knows as much about obscure diseases as anyone in the world. I have asked him to come over, and as you have told me that all things were to be at your charge, I had mentioned to him who you are and your relations to Miss Westerna. This, my dear fellow, is in obedience to your wishes, for I am only too proud and happy to do anything I can for her. Van Helsing would, I know, do anything for me for a personal reason, so no matter on what ground he comes, we must accept his wishes. He is a seemingly arbitrary man, but this is because he knows what he is talking about better than anyone else. He is a philosopher and a metaphysician, and one of the most advanced scientists of his day, and he has, I believe, an absolutely open mind. This, with an iron nerve, a temper of the ice brook, an indomitable resolution, self-command, and toleration exalted from virtues to blessings, and the kindliest and truest heart that beats. These form his equipment for the noble work that he is doing for mankind. Work both in theory and practice, for his views are as wide as his all-embracing sympathy. I tell you these facts that you may know why I have such confidence in him. I have asked him to come at once. I shall see Miss Westerna tomorrow again. She is to meet me at the stores, so I may not alarm her mother. Yours always, John Seward. A letter from Abraham Van Helsing, medical doctor, doctor of philosophy, doctor of literature, etc., etc., to Dr. Seward on the 2nd of September. My good friend, when I have received your letter, I am already coming to you. By good fortune, I can leave just at once, without wrong to any of those who have trusted me. Were fortune other, then it were bad for those who you have trusted, for I come to my friend when he call me to aid those he holds dear. Abraham is a crazy name. Tell your friend that from when that time you sucked from my wound so swiftly the poison of the gangrene from that knife that our other friend, too nervous, let slip, you did more for him when he wants my aids and you call for them than all his great fortune could do. But it is pleasure added to do for him, your friend, it is to you that I come. Have then rooms for me at the Great Eastern Motel, so that I may be near to hand, and please it so arrange that we may see the young lady not too late on tomorrow, for it is likely that I may have to return here that night. But if need be, I shall come again in 3 days, and stay longer if I must. Till then, goodbye, my friend John. Signed, Van Helsing. Yeah, it's that Van Helsing. We're finally getting to the good stuff. We're finally getting to the Dracula hunting stuff. Don't worry, we have more chapter. We're not done yet. A letter from Dr. Seward to the Honorable Arthur Holmwood. My dear Art, Van Helsing has come and gone. He came on with me to Hillingham and found that by Lucy's discretion her mother was lunching out, so that we were alone with her. Van Helsing has made a very careful examination of the patient. He is to report to me, and I shall advise you, for of course I was not present all the time. He is, I fear, much concerned, but says he must think. When I told him of our friendship and how you trust to me in the matter, he said, you must tell him all you think. Tell him what I think, if you can guess it, if you will. Nay, I am not jesting. This is no jest, but life and death, perhaps more. I asked what he meant by that, for he was very serious. This was when we had come back to town, and he was having a cup of tea before starting on his return to Amsterdam. He would not give me any further clue. You must not be angry with me, Art, because his very reticence means that all his brains are working for her good. He will speak plainly enough when the time comes, be sure. So I told him I would simply write an account of our visit, just as if I were doing a descriptive special article for the Daily Telegraph. He seemed not to notice, but remarked that the smuts in London were not quite so bad as they used to be when he was a student here. That must be an old language thing. I have no idea what he's referring to by smuts. Maybe a kind of tea? I am to get his report tomorrow if he can possibly make it. In any case, I am to have a letter. Well, as to the visit, Lucy was more cheerful than on the day I first saw her, and certainly looked better. She had lost something of the ghastly look that so upset you, and her breathing was normal. She was very sweet to the professor, as she always is, and tried to make him feel at ease, though I could see that the poor girl was making a hard struggle for it. I believe Van Helsing saw it too, for I saw the quick look under his bushy brows that I knew of old. Then he began to chat of all things except ourselves and diseases, and with such an infinite geniality that I could see poor Lucy's pretense of animation merge into reality. Then, without any seeming change, he brought the conversation gently around to his visit, and suavely said, "My dear young miss, I have the so great pleasure, because you are so much beloved, that is much, my dear, ever were that which I do not see. They told me that you were down in spirit, and that you are ghastly pale. To them I say, poof!" And he snapped his fingers at me and went on. "But you and I shall show them how wrong they are. How can he," and he pointed to me with the same look and gesture as that with which once he pointed me out to his class, yes, poof, or on rather after a particular occasion which he never fails to remind me of, "how can he know anything of a young lady's? He has his madmans to play with, and to bring them back to happiness and to those that love them. It is much to do, and oh, but there are rewards in that we can bestow such happiness. But the young ladies, he has no wife nor daughter, and the young do not tell themselves to the young, but to the old like me, who have seen so many sorrows and the causes of them. So, my dear, we will send him away to smoke the cigarette in the garden, whilst you and I have a little talk all to ourselves." I took the hint and strolled about, and presently the professor came to the window and called me in. He looked grave, but said, "I have made careful examination, but there is no functional cause. With you, I agree that there has been much blood lost. It has been, but is not. But the conditions of her are in no way anemic. I have asked her to send me her maid, that I may just ask one or two questions, so that I may not chance to miss nothing. I know well what she will say, and yet there is cause. There is always cause for everything. I must go back home and think. You must send to me the telegram every day, and if there be cause, I shall come again. The disease, for not to be all well is a disease, interests me, and the sweet young dear, she interests me too. She charmed me, and for her, if not for you or disease, I'd come." As I tell you, he would not say a word more, even when we were alone. And so now, Art, you know all I know. I shall keep stern watch. I trust your poor father is rallying. It must be a terrible thing to you, my dear old fellow, to be placed in such a position between two people who are both so dear to you. I know your idea of duty to your father, and you are right to stick to it. But if need be, I shall send you word to come at once to Lucy. So do not be over anxious unless you hear from me. We turn again to Dr. Seward's diary, the 4th of September. The Suphagus patient known as Renfield still keeps up our interest in him. He had only one outburst, and that was yesterday, at an unusual time. Just before the stroke of noon, he began to grow restless. Dr. Seuss. Restless. The attendant knew the symptoms and at once summoned aid. Fortunately, the men came at a run and were just in time, for at the stroke of noon he became so violent that it took all their strength to hold him. In about 5 minutes, however, he began to get more and more quiet, and finally sank into a sort of melancholy, in which state he has remained up till now. The attendant tells me that his screams while in the paroxysm were really appalling. I found my hands full when I got in, attending to some of the other patients who were frightened by him. Indeed, I can quite understand the effect, for the sounds disturbed even me, though I was some distance away. It is now after the dinner hour of the asylum, and yet my patient sits in a corner brooding, with a dull, sullen, woe-begone look in his face, which seems rather to indicate than to show something directly. I cannot quite understand it. A moment, please. Later that same day, another change in my patient. At 5 o'clock, I looked in on him and found him seemingly as happy and contented as he used to be. He was catching flies and eating them, and was keeping note of his capture by making nail marks on the edge of the door between the ridges of padding. When he saw me, he came over and apologized for his bad conduct and asked me in a very humble, cringing way to be led back to his own room and to have his notebook again. I thought it well to humor him, so he is back in his room with the window open. He has the sugar of his tea spread out on the windowsill and is reaping quite a harvest of flies. He is not now eating them, but putting them into a box as of old, and is already examining the corners of his room to find a spider. I tried to get him to talk about the past few days, for any clue to his thoughts would be of immense help to me, but he would not rise. For a moment or two he looked very sad, and said in sort of a faraway voice, as though saying it to himself rather than to me, "All over. All over. He has deserted me. No hope for me now unless I do it for myself." Then suddenly turning to me in a resolute way, he said, "Doctor, won't you be very good to me and let me have a little more sugar? I think it would be good for me." "And the flies?" I said. "Yes, the flies like it too, and I like the flies. Therefore, I like it. And there are people who know so little as to think that madmen do not argue." I procured him a double supply and left him as happy a man as, I suppose, any in the world. I wish I could fathom his mind. Midnight. Another change in him. I had been to see Miss Westerna, whom I found much better, and had just returned and was standing at our own gate looking at the sunset, when once more I heard him yelling. As his room is on this side of the house, I could hear it better than in the morning. It was a shock to me to turn away from the wonderful smoky beauty of a sunset over London, with its lurid lights and inky shadows and all the marvelous tints that come on foul clouds even as on foul water, and to realize all the grim sternness of my own cold stone building, with its wealth of breathing misery, and my own desolate heart to endure it all. I reached him just as the sun was going down, and from his window saw the red disk sink. As it sank, he became less and less frenzied, and just as it dipped, he slid from his hands that held him, an inert mass, on the floor. It is wonderful, however, what intellectually recuperative power lunatics have, for within a few minutes he stood up quite calmly and looked around him. I signaled to the attendants not to hold him, for I was anxious to see what he would do. He went straight over to the window and brushed out the crumbs of sugar. Then he took his fly box and then emptied it outside and threw away the box. Then he shut the window and, crossing over, sat down on his bed. All this surprised me, so I asked him, "Are you not going to keep flies any more?" "No," said he. "I am sick of all that rubbish." He certainly is a wonderfully interesting study. I wish I could get some glimpse of his mind or of the cause of his sudden passion. Stop. There may be a clue after all. If we can find why today his paroxysms came on at high noon and at sunset. Can it be that there is a malign influence of the sun at periods which affects certain natures, as at times the moon does others? We shall see. And now we have 3 telegrams from Dr. Seward to Van Helsing in Amsterdam. The 4th of September. Patient still better today. 5th of September. Patient greatly improved. Good appetite. Sleeps naturally. Good spirits. Color coming back. 6th of September. Terrible change for the worst. Come at once. Do not lose an hour. I hold over telegram to Holmwood till I have seen you. And that's the end of chapter 9. So what do we think's going on? Please tell me I'm not the only one spookified. Vampires, yes, probably. So, to my collection, here's what's happening. We see Renfield, the psychopath who's obsessed with eating things because he wants to absorb life forces, right? Every night he gets really super calm, and every day he's really anxious. And it seems like when the bat was leaving, which is Dracula, when the bat was leaving, he grew calm. So he's super calm when Dracula's not around. When Dracula is around, like when he's asleep during the day in the house next door, guy goes crazy bananas. That seems to be what's happening. Also, we can track Dracula's movements this way. On the days where Renfield is calm, we know Dracula is not there and is probably out feeding on Lucy. Lucy, who he is determined to turn, because as we covered in a previous chapter, he told us that he was leaving his wives in Transylvania. Dracula needs a new wife. What's a man got to do to get sucked around here? Sorry, I apologize for that one. I apologize. But you get my point. You get my point. So he's out hunting for a new wife of Dracula. So he's been slowly turning Lucy. Which, by the way, I want you to note the incredible medical accuracy that we're seeing here. Lucy's symptoms are exactly the symptoms you would have if you were being drained of blood. Like not being able to breathe. Keep in mind, your blood carries oxygen. So if you don't have enough blood, it feels like you're not breathing properly. Even though you are. It's just you don't have enough blood. So yeah, it looks like Lucy is going to become one of the wives of Dracula. I don't know that they could stop this process at this point. She's been going through this for about a month. Which, by the way, it takes a month for him to turn someone? That's rather interesting. I would think it would happen a lot sooner. But that's just me. Also, all of those... Yeah, damn, man. Speed it up. Come on. Chop, chop. Chop, chop, Drac. Also, this puts the lie to all those stupid vampire romances where it's like so romantic to have half of your blood sucked out. You wouldn't be able to breathe, people. I don't care if they can instantly turn you. You would still feel like shit for a couple of days. Someone talk about that more. All right? All right? Like, I get that girls like vampire romances because it means they don't have to have a period anymore. But come on, it's not that great. That's going to get me canceled. That's going to get me so canceled. Why do I just let myself keep talking? Finna, you're being suspiciously quiet. No, let's not clip that. Let's not clip that and say we did. How about that? Let's not clip that. Let's not take advantage of me trying to be entertaining and turning off any semblance of a filter. Let's not do that. Oh gosh. Let's see. Man, I gotta find someone to raid at this point, don't I? Gotta find someone to raid. Who's live? That's the question. Is Bale live? What even is Bao's username? Ooh, Monarch's live. We could raid Monarch. She's doing Coral Island with looks like Sayu. Let's see, what would be our raid message? Ooh, I already know what it is. I already know what it is. We're gonna be mean. We're gonna be mean to Monarch. Okay. Okay, so we're raiding Monarch, and the raid message is you is right. That's your raid message, folks. We're gonna raid Monarch. We're gonna tell her Sayu's right. I don't care if you don't know what's going on here. You have to say it. You have to say it. Okay? Okay? Everyone on board? Everyone know what's going on now? The context is she thinks that Shigo from Kim Possible is supposed to be Shiego, which is obviously incredibly wrong. And Sayu has been not harassing, but like gently correcting her. But we gotta tell her that Sayu is right. All right, we're rating 3, 2, 1. Oh, we'll be back Tuesdays, Thursdays playing Pokemon Nuzlocke in Pokemon Violet. So we will be back Tuesday and Thursday. See the schedule on the Twitter. Goodbye. Oh, wait, the raid didn't work. Damn it. Can I manually raid? No, I don't think so. Raid just didn't work. Let's try it one more time. She might have raids turned off, which is understandable. We're about to be mean. Let's see. I'll double check her username and we'll try it that way. Raid. Oh, nope, she's got it turned off. Okay, we'll find someone else to raid. Anyone playing Pokemon? Let's see. Is this guy doing shiny hunts? I don't know. I can't tell what he's doing from the preview. If you got someone you want me to raid, feel free to drop it. I don't care if people are like promoting stuff. I don't know. I'm not finding anybody. What if I just start typing random letters? Man, it's I see all these Twitter posts like, hey, I need people to raid, and they're obvious, content bait. Like they just want you to comment on their Twitter post and get them engagement. But also, this is a real problem. Like, trying to find new people to raid is awful. It's actually just bad. Can we find a random VTuber? Let's see. Everyone's playing Pal World. Literally everyone is playing Pal World. Yeah, please suggest a way. Because I've got no one I know who's live. Cat links. Are they live? Looks like. Doing retro stuff. All right, we will raid them. And the raid message is, I don't know where you're going, but do you have room for one more troubled soul? Let's keep the theater kid vibes alive. I don't know where you're going, but do you got room for one more troubled soul? This is also just a way for me to know if they're cool or not. Okay, starting raid. I will see you guys over there. Good. Bye. Oh, wait. I gotta wait like 7 more seconds before it actually lets you raid. Any second now. Wait for it. Here we go. Now. Click.